Hello Flosstube. Today's Wednesday the 4th of February 2026 and this is a Flosstube extra. I'm Lindsay, Cheshire Stitcher, both here on YouTube and over on Instagram. Welcome. Finally got my derriere into gear and pulled out all, well, that's not strictly true, pulled out my stitching themed. I haven't gone through magazines that I have, apart from one, because I knew about that one. And I haven't gone through the folders of freebie charts from donkeys years ago. So, yeah, there's a fair bit. So I'm going to start off with the first one and the one and only magazine. And it's in Cross Stitch and Country Crafts from May 1991. Yeah. I was going to do this last year, which is how I know it was there, but it's this. I've loved this design ever since I first of all bought this magazine, and then I kind of misplaced the folder that it was in, and then I found it and I thought, oh, I'll do that next year, and never actually got round to it. So this one may well stay out to be done. I will say now, if you see any of these that you've got and you think, oh, I've got that, and fancy doing a stitch along, let me know. Right, next we'll do the kits. I've got a big bag, big bag. So, if you've been watching me for a while, you may well remember this. This was my Valentine's gift off my partner last year. Again, I am very tempted to keep it out and get it started. It's got everything that I need. That's just the paper telling me where I got it from. My only issue with this, and it's not the fabric itself or the count or anything. It comes with primitive hair fabric, obviously, but it's very splotchy, and I'm not overly keen on fabric that's splotchy like that. So part of me's going, but if you change the fabric, it's not going to work out the same size. And part of me's going, but you know, that's what your partner gave you last year. So I don't know. I need to make a decision because I need to get some more of my stitching themed 26 in 26 started. So next, when my friend Lois was destashing up at the Yorkshire Stitch Laugh Learn days, I grabbed that one. I've got this kit. This was a gift off my youngest daughter several years ago. So again, I think I may well keep that out. It's not going to be a huge, long, drawn-out project, although I may change the colour of the sewing basket because I don't do pink. And I've got the sewing themed shoe from Bothy Threads. I'm just chucking these on the floor at the minute. I've got the mouse on a bobbin, also from Bothy Threads. Can you see this wouldn't take that long to do, I don't think, because it's not huge. 15 centimetre circle, whatever that is in inches. I was brought up on inches. What's that? 2.5, about 6 inches. So not massive. I've got So Easy Stitch, again a Bothy Threads kit. I have found whilst going through a few kits from that company that only ever does basic things, begins with a C. Sorry, after what they pulled a couple of years ago with their so-called freebie, I absolutely flatly refuse to advertise them. So I will be selling those kits off. Even one of the designs that is a sewing themed one will be sold, but I can buy the chart from the original designer. There we go. So that's that one. I've got the Joan Elliott Angel of Cross Stitch. If I remember rightly, this is the one that uses every single colour that was available at the time. I could be wrong. You've got to bear in mind, a lot of these have been in my stash for the biggest part of a long time. I picked this one up in a Hobbycraft sale. Sorry, it slipped out. I always call them, I never call them Hobbycraft because they're rubbish. I've got that one, Karen Carter Sewing Room. I think I bought this from Cotton Club when it was being discontinued. At least I think it's been discontinued. See, a lot of these, so like this has got Ada in it. I would switch the fabric. Oh, hang on, there's a little kit missing. I know there is. There we go. Yeah, I could very easily stitch that. That would only take a day, maybe two, depending on what much stitching time I get. So I think I'm going to leave that one out. I mean, it's supposed to have a hanger. Oh, it has. Piece of wire for you to bend into a hanger. But I have no idea where that came from. Probably got it donkey's years ago in an exchange. So there we go. That one. So I'll keep that one out. And then my last, oh no, sorry, it's not my last kit. I've got one of last year's social clubs from Bothy Threads. Which came out yesterday as a general release sale. But I bought the social kit when they were on sale because I didn't want to pay full price for something with things in that I will never, seeds and plantable pen and pencil. I don't have a garden, so I didn't want to pay full price to get all the stuff that I was never going to use. So there are bits and pieces I may well give away, like those. I'll never use them. So yeah, that's that one. Almost missed this one on my list, and I'm thinking I'm going to put a, I said it at the time, put a zip in the top and use that as a project bag. So we've got that one. And then my last one isn't technically a kit. It's a chart, but it's got, the only thing I'm missing is fabric. I've got all the boards and everything to make it up, and the little wooden things and the silk pack. Honour Thy Needle from Twisted Oak Designs. I don't even know if these are still going. It says A needle, though it be small and slender, yet is both a maker and a mender. From The Prayer of the Needle by John Taylor, 1580 to 1636. It calls for 28 count. I don't really stitch on 28 count anymore. But when I bought this, I did. I mean, it's copyrighted 2007, so I've probably had it from a few years after that. So I've had it 15, 16 years. Probably never started it because the finishing intimidated me. But it doesn't anymore. So there we are. Right. I've got a huge bag here. So I will do my small card ones first. So first of all, Lizzie Kate, Stitching Forever, Housework Whenever. I mean, and you can see what I paid for this. It shows how long it's been in my stash. Has it got a year on it? Not that I can see. So yeah, that one. Another Lizzie Kate, Good Things Come to Those That Stitch. Another Lizzie Kate, Life's a Stitch. And another Lizzie Kate, Cross Stitcher in Residence. I actually stitched this one once for an exchange. And then I've got Elizabeth Designs for a Special Stitcher. $2003 on that one. No idea where some of these have come from. Heart in Hand, My Soul is Thread with Needle and Thread. And then I bought this at market last year. Imprints, Stitch and Maker. Again, only little ones. I think they're only... when they've done them on 36 count Milk and Honey. They're only 31 by 38 and 36 by 31. So they're only tiny. So again, if I put my mind to it, I could get those done. And that would be another 2 off my 26 and 26. And then I've got another couple of so-called kits. In my world, a kit includes everything. Fabric, threads, chart obviously, and buttons that are needed. But these are Lizzie Kate boxes, which has the chart, a bit of fabric, no thread. So this one is I cannot count my day complete till needle, thread and fabric meet. So that's one. And then I've got Life is Better with Stitching Friends. Again, supposedly a kit. Stitch Now, Worry Later is that one. And then the last so-called kit. Another Lizzie Kate. A Little Stitch. Stitch Every Day. They all live in the same box, which is why it was easier for me to show you those together. So now we'll do the A5 ones. Hey. Yeah. And now these are all mixed up because these have come out of a different area. So these two are ones that I keep saying are on loan from my friend Lois, and she keeps saying no, they're not. First one is that one. Scissors, I'm assuming it means scissors and bobbins. And then there is the heartstring samplery for the love of stitching. Well, there's 4 projects in there. So, yeah. Then we move on to, apart from this one, they're all going to be in reverse order because that's the way, it's the way I've taken them out of the box, that's all. Bought that on a D-stash sometime back, well, September, October time. Sampler hair. It says kit, but it isn't. The lady had done the kit and sold the chart on. I just thought, I want to have a go at that. So there we go. Now we start. So we're going from the end of the alphabet to the beginning, because that's the way I've pulled them out of the box. So first we have Excalibur Designs Blackwork Stitcher. Again, you can tell how long I've had it. This will have been bought at the shop that was in Bakewell, whose name now completely and utterly escapes me. But it's that old, it's got a proper photo on the front. Then we have Maxim Moon, Stitching Pox, extremely contagious. And that comes with the fluffy stuff for her hair and a needle. Then we have Telling Emblem, a scissor sampler. I've seen this stitch, one of the Charlotte that goes to Cheshirestitcher, she stitched this one. Absolutely gorgeous. I bought that in a D-stash last year. Okay, so we're not strictly in chronological, alphabetical order, backwards. Project Quarantine from Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. I bought this, if I remember rightly, Stitchy Sally stitched it way back when we had COVID and everybody was staying at home, and she offered it for sale once she'd finished it, and I bought it. So yeah, bought this from Market last year. My Cat Helper, Tiny Modernist. And then I have another Tiny Modernist. No idea when I bought that one. Can we see a date on it anywhere? (2022), so I probably bought it in 2023. There we go. Silver Creek Samplers, Seize the Needle. And then Stitching Feeds My Heart. So it says, with silver needle and golden thread, I'll stitch until my heart is fed. Introverted, but we'll happily talk cross stitch. This is a fairly recent one, isn't it? Follow your heart, but take your stitching with you. I wouldn't do it in those colours. I would do it, I don't know, they're not my kind of colours. Maybe change it to purples. Scissor Tail Designs. I think I bought this. I don't know where I bought this, to be fair. I thought I bought it maybe from 123 or something like that, but it's got a price sticker on the back, so I don't know. So again, something small that I could probably do quite quickly. Scarlet House, Home is Where My Samplers Are. Bought this May last year when I went to the Nimble Thimble. Stitches Alphabet, again, bought last year at the Nimble Thimble in May. Like I say, you see any of these that you think, oh yes, I've got that, could do stitch along. Oops, missed a kit. Do it in a minute. This one was from when Lois was doing her D-stash. Cross stitch fills my days, not to mention the living room, bedroom and closets. Well, I would change that and say cupboards. And another one that came from Lois's stash, and she kitted it up with different colours. Stitchers count with their friends. Puntini, enjoy every stitch. Comes with the buttons. You see now why I say I need to do 26 in 26 sewing themed charts. We haven't even got to the A4 ones yet. Bought this off a D-stash. Cross Stitch Collector. It was a Nashville kit in 2020. I think Stitcher Sally stitched this one a couple of years ago as well. This one's got a big sticker on the front, so I need to take it out. Bought this at the Wrexham retreat last year. Cross stitch to-do list from Pickle Barrel. On the D-stash. It's got a big label on with who was selling it, so Pansy Patch Quilt and Stitchery Stitch. Don't think I've got a paper in here, but I'm pretty sure, because normally it would be on the back and it isn't. So I'm pretty sure this was a gift off Jeanette. Another Pansy Patch and Quilt and Stitchery. Stitcher's Tool. Bought this market last year. And then last year, I'm not sure whether these are, well, I think I bought these at the stitching day in about May for Cheshire Stitchers that we had at the hotel, off Rachel Talking Dog Stitchery. So we have Tomato Row and Sewing Sundries. I've already done Snip Snip. And then I've got Primrose Cottage, Christmas Trees and Stitching Please. I think Jeanette gave me this once she'd stitched it. Oh no, it was an Advent gift off Jeanette last year. I've got Stitching Quaker from Primrose Cottage. I'd love to be able to do this and the next one, which is Stitching Quilt and Stitching Rules in the colour on cotton, but we can't get them, so they're going to get done in plain old DMC. They've all just slid off my lap. Excuse me while I pick them up. Oh dear me. So now they're probably all going to be out of order. Oh dear me. Yeah, we've got a big gap now. I'll go there, you're going to go there. Sorry, I'm just making it a bit easier for myself because I've got to put more away again. Plum pudding needle art. Home is where you hide your stash. New York Dreamer. Home is where the fabric and floss are. Bought this at the Nimble Thimble last year. Needle Bling Designs. Happy when stitching. I think I bought this at the Nimble Thimble because it was reduced. Looking at the back of it. Stitching is my happy hour. This one I know I have had in my stash for donkey's years, and I don't know if it's still available. Stitch a tree ornament from M Designs. And if you're wondering, you turn it on its side and it says Stitcher. I did mention this chart ages ago when I showed you my love tree finish. Lucy Beam. Cross stitch makes everything okayer. Again, looks like I bought it at the Nimble Thimble because the price tag looks familiar, but it's been reduced. So, Little House Needleworks. This is the 2019 market release. Home of a Needleworker squared with the threads. I have done Home of a Needleworker too. It's hanging up behind you. Then Necessities Sampler. Fabric needle threads. Keep covering my ugly mug, I do apologise. Thread gathering. Lindy Stitches, Bury Me With My Needle. So it says, bury me with my needle and some linen in my hand, for I would not be idle when I reach the promised land. Yes, I know, it's got a face. Jardin Privé Stitchery. Saw this, I think it was either last year or the year before, stitched up at Wrexham Retreat. Absolutely stunning. Had to get my hands on it. And then another Jardin Privé. I'm going to guess it says Gardens of Bobbins. And then Patchwork de la Broiderous, again, Jardin Privé. I included this one because it's got scissors on it. But basically, it's all the different reds of DMC. I think this was a gift, but I can't remember who off. So this is Summer House Stitchwork, Ink Circles and Hands-on Design Needle Stance. Collaboration from 3 or 4 years ago. Again, I don't know if it's still available or not. Another Ink Circles, arranging the sewing kit. This came from Arts and Designs. Well, originally, I think, looking at the fact that it's got a price sticker on it, I bought it in a D-stash at some point. Heartstring Samplery, S is for Stitch. I bought this at Market last year and Beth signed it for me when we were on the weekend. And then she also signed this one, which is Stitch's Resolutions. Couldn't read it on the back. It says, when in doubt, always buy more linen and threads. Number 2, stitch all day and absolutely no housework. 3, Oh, absolutely no housework allowed because it's on 2 separate lines. It took a minute for it to click. 3, always start a new project before the last one is finished, requiring a return to number 1. Yeah, well, we don't do that, do we? So again, Beth very kindly signed it for me. Then we have Cross Stitch Nation. This one was a gift off Jeanette, if I remember correctly. Hang on. Yeah, it was a birthday present offer in 2023, but it wasn't in the box. Otherwise, it would have been, I would have taken it with me to get Beth to sign it for me. Because I have this habit of buying stash and then just shoving it somewhere and not actually sorting it out and putting it away, which is something I really need to stop. Heart in Hand. Patchwork Sheep. Not strictly stitching related, but it says stitch them together. Stitch them one by one. So I included it. It's not strictly in here. Hands on Design, Stitch Them Happy, which comes with a lovely little tag. Another Hands on Design, Resting Stitch Face. Whether or not I'll ever actually do it, I don't know, because it's got a face. But I don't think it'd take long. 61 by 65. Another Hands on Design, Stitching is My Heart's Desire. Another one, Stitch in the Garden. And this comes with, if you look there, there's a bit of felt for a tomato. So it comes with the piece of felt and the pins. Mend, which I bought from the Nimble Thimble, and it has the cloth and the pins in, but it's stitched on 28 count, and I don't really do 28 count anymore. So I don't know whether or not I want to do it on 28 count or do it on 32 and just cut that down when I get to that point, because it sits on the top. Haven't decided about that one yet. Erica Michaels, Sewing Bee. Another Erica Michaels mini sampler book. Just a sampler, so it counts. It does in my book anyway. I would love to get hold of the finishing kit, but it's going to be really hard to get hold of that in the UK. I did ask Sue at Peakside last year, but she probably forgot by now, so I might just do that. I mean, I can probably work it out anyway. Country Cottage Needleworks. Needlework Shop. Again, I will have had this in my stash. 2008, so this has been in my stash for at least 10 years. We have Cottage Garden Samplings, The Needleworker. Partially kitted because it's on the list with Jeanette for our stitch along. She probably forgot about it, which I can't blame her for. Cherry Wood Designs, Stitch the Flowers. 3 different ways of doing it. Which one I'll do, I have no idea. Another Cherry Wood one, I Am a Stitcher. Bought this at the Wrexham Retreat last year. And then I have Carriage House Samplings. I have Thread. and I have X stitch, so cross stitch. I also have, and I'm currently working on, N for needle. Now, from what I can gather, from when I've looked, now you can only get it, the N, as the entire thing. It's probably the case for these as well. But when I got N for needle, it was a freebie. But I'll tell you more about that in my regular Flosstube next week, which will have to be Tuesday because my partner's off on Monday. In Her World, lovely red sampler. Although I don't know if I'd do it in red. I don't know. We'll see. And then I have Threadneedle Street, which is kitted up because it was a gift off Jeanette last year. She stitched this and then passed the chart on to me, and then kitted it up as well, which was rather good of her. And that is all the smaller charts. So the kit I missed, Bothy Threads cut through haberdashery, now discontinued, but yeah, there we go. I've just remembered one. I think it's that. If it's not this, then we won't worry about it. It was a PDF from Creative Poppy. Barbara Anna, Let It Snow. Creative Poppy is no longer in business, which is a shame. And then I've got these are also PDFs. So I've just printed out the front page. Stitchers Ornaments. You may remember this was an option. The sewing machine was an option last year for my little Christmas stitch. And then we have the Amy Stewart Stitch Along. Was supposed to be the reward, but they just gave it to us anyway. Because I have bought the hay sale for this year, and I was going to do it enough because I wanted this, but then they gave it to us. Quick flash. That's a freebie from Teresa Cogart. And then I have a Shannon Christine. Excuse the mess, but I craft here. And that's it for PDFs. I've got a couple of freebies. These are freebies that I've saved to my pad. Like I say, I am not going through the folders and folders and folders of charts. So this is the Sewing Room from Tiny Modernist. This was a freebie. And Sue Hillis Designs Spool Stack 2024. You can find it on her Facebook page, which is probably where I got it from. So now on to the A4 charts. Sorry, I'm just bending down to get them out of the bag. So we have My Big Toe, Time to Stitch, God grant me the ability to stitch the stash I have and to have the stash I want and the time to stitch it all. This was going to be my blessing sampler for this year. Again, chart that I think is on loan from Lois, and Lois says no. And then I have stitching rules pulled out because I want to get this started. Maybe later this month, but it will get started. So now, in no particular order, because I have them split up over 3 folders, we have Bank Creek Stitching Row. See, a lot of these, I look at them and I go, that wouldn't actually take that long to do, really. But will I ever actually get round to it? And then I have Leela's Studio Sayings for Stitchers. So this is number 2. I also have number 3. So if you've got this, or you've got number 1 in your stash and you think, I'm never actually going to do that, let me know please, because I can't find them as printed charts anymore. That one there. I would love to do all 3 of them. Yeah, maybe on the same fabric, but until I can find them, the last one printed. So this was 2012, this was 2013, so I'm going to guess number 1 came out in 2011. But I can't find it as a paper. And because I got these 2 on paper, I would like that one on paper. Another Primrose Cottage. Bought this at the Nimble Thimble last year. Stitcher's Gotta Stitch. This came from Kate at Sparkly's. Cross Stitch Sampler. And I know Jeanette's got one because I bought one for her and one for me, thinking it could possibly go on the list. And if not, there are lots of little bits and pieces on here that would make nice smalls. So like the hoop there, that would make a nice small. Haven't actually looked through this. So I've got Blackbird Design Stitcher's Journey. Well, the fact that it's a Stitcher's Journey kind of puts it on the list for me. But the one thing I really do like is those stars there. I think that would be a great way of using up a few odds and ends of thread. Elizabeth Designs Antique Bee Sampler. Bought it Cheshire Stitchers Day last year in September. And I'm including this one because, again, just that one there, the sewing bee, would make a nice little small. So again, I might just leave that out. Prairie Schooler, the Needle's Eye. Not, again, bought at the Cheshire Stitchers Day in September last year. They're all stitching themed, but I can't see me doing these 2. It was that one that drew my attention. So that says the needle's eye is wide enough for 2 friends. So whether or not I would ever do those 2, I don't know. But I say I got it for that one. But it's still stitching related. Tiny Mud Nest. Sewing Room. I think this came from Lois's D-stash, but I could be wrong. No, I thought I had the other one as well, but this is Kathy Barrack, Good Intentions. I myself am made entirely of floors stitched together with good intentions. I think this is the first one. I'm sure she's brought out a second version of this. Trying to look for a date on it. No, can't see a date on it. But I think this was, like I say, this is the first one. I'm sure she's brought out a second version. Another one I need to take out of the bag because it's got somebody's name on it. This one is Luminous Fibre Arts, and it is Gathering Stitches. As you know, Gathering Honey is a PhD. And again, some of these, they're not in order. A, because they're split over 3 folders, and B, because some of them have literally just been shoved somewhere and not sorted out. Very old sewing room. Again, I think this may have come from Lois's D-stash. Beware of pins and needles, bare feet enter at own risk. But I do like that one. I could see that on my craft room door. 1985. Bought off a D-stash. I wasn't getting cotton and twine boxes at the time. Craftiness is happiness. So, came with the leftover threads. Midsummer Night's Dreams. Deftly wrought. With a silken thread so fine, this is how I spend my time. Needle poised, fabric taut, stitching samplers deftly wrought. Again, I don't know if this is still available. I've had it so long. And it's a proper photo on the front, which is how I know I've had it a long time. Not sure what the samplers say. I haven't got my glasses on for them. Stitchers Quaker. Bought this market last year. I do like a Quaker. And then a couple of Carriage House samplings. Tavern Signs. Sampler Maker. I wouldn't do that one. I've got that one. And then Tavern Signs 2. Again, I wouldn't do that one. It's that one I would do. Though obviously I would put my name. Twin Peak Primitives, Red Smalls. Because, let me find it. I included this for that one. Again, wouldn't take a huge amount of time to stitch. I might not necessarily do it in red. They have it made into a drum, which is what caught my eye. Another Primrose Stitches, Beautiful Things. Oh, they use classic colour works for this, so I've probably got most of them. Like I say, if you've got any you want to join or you want to do a stitch along on, feel free. Very, very, very old. Dragon Dreams. There are a couple of other ones that I didn't include. One is There's Magic in My Needle, which is a wizard holding the needle. That's a bit tenuous. And then I've got the Wizard's Quilt and the Dragon's Quilt. So, the time I spend stitching is never a waste. I do it to find what I thought I'd mislaid. That child who loved colour and textures at play, the magic that stitching melts, troubles away. Sorry, no glasses on, hard to read. So there we go. And then I have Ruby Sipper's Designs. Translates to, buy the fabric, the piece will come. I don't know if this is available anymore. And then we have another Prairie Schooler. These, can't you tell these are getting out of one of the first folders? I bought this for E. E is for embroidery. I have no idea if it's got a label in it. No, it hasn't. So yeah, I bought it for E is for embroidery, that one there. One reason I started shoving stuff and not putting them away in folders is I run out of these. These are the extra wide and I've run out. So, my big, take my teeth out, my big toe. Gives you two colour versions. That's an autumn one and a summer one. Happiness begins with just one little stitch. Then I bought this at the Nimble Thimble last year. Cost me £1. It was in the sale box. I didn't know it was £1 at the time. I bought it because I liked it. A gentle needle soothes the restless heart. Another My Big Toe. Housework, a waste of good stitching time, which is very true. Copyright 2007, so I've probably had it since at least 2008. I've never done it. Then we have Mary Needleworker. This is on the list to do with Jeanette as a stitch along. When we went, we bought it at Create Nostalgia. She didn't have the sea foam in that we needed, so I picked really tealy for mine, and I'm not going to bother about all the other ones. If I've got it, I will use it. If not, I'll use the DMC. But there is a night version as well, which is that colour palette there. Bought this Nimble Thimble at some point last year. I think it might have been the Wrexham Retreat. I haven't put a label in it. Jeanette Douglas, Matter in Hand, which has then got cross stitch in all the different languages, which I may just leave out. But again, things like that, you could stitch that, or you could stitch the tomato or the spool and just make it into a nice little scissor fob. But I think if I did it, I would leave all the different languages out. Eric and Michael's Let's Sew. Had it biggest part of a long time. This is one of those ones that I may rehome at some point without actually stitching it. I haven't fully decided as yet. Sorry, itchy head and then itchy nose. But we're getting there. There's not many left. I bought this at the Nimble Thimble. Again, if this was £1. Stitching makes my happy. I would change it to me. And then Hands-on Designs, Needle and Thread, May They Never Part. It's the key to unlock my stitcher's heart. Hands-on Design, Let's Talk Stitching. I wouldn't do this on a dark fabric, which means I would probably change the white, whether it's white or yeah, 3865. I could do it on a coloured fabric. I wouldn't do it on a dark fabric, but I could do it on a dark fabric or darker fabric so that 3865 shows up. Another hands-on design. I love my stitching. And I would be very tempted to make it into a project bag. Something that I want to attempt anyway this year. Hands-on design, stitch every day. I would probably make it into the drum. Forever in my heart, I have two hobbies, stitching and collecting. Again, this has been in my stash, I don't know, it doesn't, I can't even see, 2003. And I've had it that long. It's a proper photo. Again, I don't think that would take a huge amount of time to stitch. So I might leave that one out as well. I mean, they did it on 20 count daffodil Lugana. It's 105 by 75. So again, yeah, that wouldn't take. So we'll leave that one there. And then my other hobby is stitching. I have two hobbies. One is collecting, the other one is stitching. No idea. 2002. Told you, got lots of things in my stash that are positively ancient. This I know you can't get anymore. It's a scissor roll, scissor pocket. Scissors by any other name. Scissor roll to protect your scissor collection. Cat's Whiskers stopped designing. I don't know when. I have got a few of other things of hers to do. And then Blackbird Designs with my needle. Loose Feathers number 2. Please don't bombard me and say, can I have it? Because I don't dispose of charts until I've stitched them, unless I really fall out of love with them. I'm going to guess that that's probably one of the hard to find ones. Kathy Barrack, needlework. Done in needlepoint silks. I've probably got the colours. Waxing Moon. Now I know I've had this for an awfully long time. It says, she who dies with the most stash wins. Again, I don't know if it's still available or not. Another Waxing Moon. My needle and floss, they comfort me. We're nearly there. There's only a few left. Another Waxing Moon. She who dies with the most patterns is not stitching fast enough. 2005. I don't know if it's still available. And then we have a couple of Sue Hillis's. Stitches for the Needle Worker. I've only got number 1 and number 2. I can't find the others in the UK. I might have a look on 1, 2, 3. But these you could do as an individual, or they have a big full one. I particularly like that one. So there we go. And then there are just a couple of things in the bag that got missed. With their needle and thread. Keeper of the Pins. Again, I included that one because you've got one with a bobbin on there, and we've got My Soul is Fed with Needle and Thread, which I actually stitched a couple of years ago, or 18 months or so ago, for an exchange at Cheshire Stitchers to celebrate our first anniversary. But you've got, so we've got that one, which is Strawberries on a Bobbin. We've got a lady with a needle and bobbins. So, you know, that one's got a tomato for the O. So yeah, that's why I included that one. What was the other one? That's the other one, the bird. And then last, like I say, there's probably more. I haven't been through my freebies. I thought, I'm not doing that. There's folders and folders of them from donkey's years ago. Is this. Now, I remember starting this when my girls were little, and it got lost. It vanished. I mean, I remember struggling with it. I remember stitching it on the Ada that came in the kit. And then at some point, a few years ago, somebody posted it. It might have been on Facebook. I can't, it probably was on Facebook back then. And I was like, oh my God, I remember that kit. I remember starting it. I remember working on it. I don't know where it's gone. And the lady, when she'd finished, very kindly sent me the chart. So that's it. There we go. I'd love to know what happened to it. It's probably floating around my ex-husband's house somewhere. Just double check. Yeah, the bag's empty. Right, so there we go. So that is all of my stitching themed charts. As you know, I've got some on the go. But I don't think I've missed any. Because I haven't done the magazines, because I'm not doing that. And I'm not going through folders and folders and folders of freebies. Those are just the ones that I could easily get hold of. So if you like any of them and think I should do them particularly quickly, let me know. If you've got any of them and would like to do more of a start along probably than a stitch along, let me know. I will definitely be starting that later in the year, stitching reels. That is definitely getting started. But otherwise, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you've got any of them. If you've got any stitching theme charts that I don't have. I mean, there's probably loads of them out there, but... But this is why I want to get some of my things stitched. I've got so much. I could probably stitch for the next 5 years at least without having to buy anything other than maybe a bit of fabric now and then and some threads. I've got to get it down. There's way too much. Way, way, way too much. But anyway, I will be back next Tuesday with a regular Flosstube. It should have been Monday, but my partner's off. But I'll explain why he's off on a Monday when I come to do my Flosstube. So until then, take care of yourselves. Hope you enjoyed seeing all of my stuff. Would be here for days if I was recording and showing you everything in my stash. Would be here for days. I'm not doing that. This is just my stitching theme ones for this year. Maybe next year as well. So I'll see you on Tuesday. Until then, happy stitching. Bye.